of Massachusetts for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the ranking member. And Secretary Austin, Ms. McCord, thank you for your service. General Milley, all the best in the next chapter. Those of us in Massachusetts like to take a little pride in where you came from originally, and as well as your predecessor. And thank you for that service. Now, Putin has, clearly made some of the most outrageous miscalculations of any leader in modern times. He miscalculated the will and commitment of the Ukrainian people. He made a major miscalculation in not understanding the leadership of the U.S. and the commitment of the U.S. to lead. And he made another miscalculation in not understanding how our allies, our transatlantic allies in particular, but even our global allies, even beyond NATO, how they're banded together so coherently and strongly under this leadership. And I've been able to witness this not only as a member of this committee, both informed by classified and public information, but also with my service on the Foreign Affairs Committee, where I've chaired and ranked on the European subcommittee for that time, and engaged in very private and important conversations with leaders there. Yet there are voices in the American public right now that will say that our coalition partners are not holding up their end of the bargain. I'm informed by information, that I've had that just to the contrary. In fact, it's quite extraordinary, and in some areas, in some countries, historic in nature. But can you take this opportunity to inform, from your perspectives, the American public that they're wrong? Because we have people voicing those concerns and using that as a justification to say the U.S. shouldn't be committed to Ukraine because these other countries aren't holding up their end of the bargain, when I've been informed that they clearly are. But can you take this moment here in front of this committee to just inform the American public that level of commitment that exists there, and how strong it is, how important it is, and how they are carrying great weight?
Well, thank you, sir. I think you're exactly right. As you know, I meet with 50-plus nations, the ministers of defense of those nations every month. In those meetings, what I see displayed is a strong sense of commitment and unity to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. As a matter of fact, that's the language that I hear them employ. Some of those countries, especially the smaller ones, have given a lot in terms of the percentage of their GDP, and they're looking for ways to do more. And when they've run out of stuff, they invest money in things like helping other countries expand their product lines as we look to acquire additional munitions and weapons. So the commitment that I see is strong. What I've seen them provide is impressive, but there's always more that we can do. And you hear me consistently beating the drum for more air defense and other things in support of Ukraine. But what I've seen thus far, I've seen tremendous support for Ukraine and helping it defend its sovereignty.
General Milley?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. The 54 countries, and obviously there's only 30 in NATO, so those come from all around the globe. Britain, France, Germany, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia, Poland. These countries are Romania. These countries are pouring their heart and soul in this, and they realize that this threat is proximate to them. So they, you look at Poland, how many refugees they've taken, look how many tanks they've done, or they've provided, how many BMPs they've provided, all the training that they've done, and they are a major throughput for all the logistics, and it's not without risk. So these countries are putting in as one team, and they understand the threat that's facing them.
We're going to talk about inefficiencies and waste and not maximizing our efforts here, but I want to just raise one issue with the little time that's remaining. Secretary Austin mentioned aging assets being phased out. And General Milley, you mentioned on-time budgets and the importance of that. I don't know if you have the time for this, you probably don't, but congressional resolutions after congressional resolutions, CR after CR, how is that handicapping your efficiency when Congress should look at itself too when we engage in that kind of budgetary effort?
Again, as you heard us say earlier, you can't affect new starts if you have it under a CR. You lose valuable time in terms of producing the kinds of things that we need to produce in order to be relevant in the next competition. So it's, again, you can't get the time back. It's really, really important.
Gentleman's time's expired.